Hello and welcome, Strictly. We begin with the front pages of the papers this morning, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Labour Party PDP kicks as US report says 2023 poll mirrored Nigerians' will. Rider says a report admitted APC rigged elections, surprised over its conclusion, and that's coming from Labour Party. We won't allow Nigeria become one party state. That's coming from PDP. It's welcome, but we don't need external validation, and that's coming from APC presidency. It says votes were not suppressed in Lagos. You can read more on that story on page 5. And of course, a photo story showing Tinubu meets Netherlands PM, and Tinubu Dutch PM discuss trade as investment rise by $250 million. 119 inmates escape as heavy rain destroys Suleja Prison, and the Boko Haram sack military camp in Niger. Bandits attack emir in Zamfara. You can read that on page 9. Okwama Community Shun House Committee's investigative hearing. Federal government state sign accord on economic financial inclusion. Sport minister won't force a coach on the NFF, and that's coming from the ministry. You can read that on page 29. Stories above: our universities promote ethnic bias, and that's coming from Bishop KUKAH. Edo Guba PDP to unveil 200-man campaign council. You can read more on page 7. Audit reports declared Dana Air unhealthy for operations, and that's coming from Kiamo. Lastly, on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, NNPC Ipman resolved logistic challenge as petrol queues persist. We take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with complicit negligence, how weak power lines, vandalism, worsen electrocution incidents, and we can see a photo story showing more on license with the highest number of casualties in the third quarter of 2023. Gunmen assassinate Katsina APC boss, one other. You can read that on page 20. You lied, Rivers government tells resigned Wiki's loyalists. Stakeholders worry over possible collapse of a $76 billion telephony sector. A court adjourns Emefiele's trial to June 24 as US indicts the government. Oil theft. Naval chief extends Operation Delta Sanity by 90 days. And the CBN license unified payment, the second provider for PTSA service for Nigeria. Suleja jailbreak. Federal government to publish names of 105 fleeing inmates. We arrest 14. And that's how we can take on the Guardian. We take a look at the Nation. The Nation is leading with Tinubu. I take tough policy decisions in people's interests. Writer says the worst of the storms over. Dutch businessmen to invest $250 million in Nigeria. APC rules aggrieved Ondo aspirants with all-inclusive government slots. How recapitalization of banks will boost economy by PwC. Stories above: Olubadan receives mortgages. US report 2023 election a reflection of Nigeria's will. Ondo PDP picks Ajayi. Manhunt for 109 fleeing prison inmates. Fence collapse to blame. Lastly, on the front page of the Nation, why I came hard on Dana Air by Kiamo. We take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with Forex. MTN Glow orders seek NCC nod for tariff hike. Rider says telcos risk shut down without tariff increase to offset rising costs. That's coming from Alton and Atcon. Operators awake NCC approval as regulators review tariff band operating costs. We can also see a photo story showing federal government may relocate jail as 105 inmate fleeing Niger prison. Ogun mother electrocuted, 2 children hospitalized. Dangote forex shortage delays crude supplies. Akeredolu's ex-deputy Ajayi wins Ondo PDP ticket. Stories above: 4 million UTME candidate not admitted in 4 years, and that's an investigation. A Senate panel seeks an extension of 30 trillion naira loans probe. NNPC blames logistics for worsening fuel queues. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, dollar demand pushes naira to 1,420 naira to a dollar. And that's what we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining, it's still today in the news on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. We begin with the newspaper review segment, and of course, joining us to talk about some of the stories is Mr. Rotimi Ajayi, former regional editor, North Vanguard Media Limited. It's good to have you join me this morning, sir.
Good morning, Precious. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm okay. I'm fine. Very okay.
All right, let's dive into what we have this morning. And of course, the opposition Labour Party and the PDP have expressed shock over how the United States 2023 country report on human rights practice arrived at its conclusion that the 2023 polls reflected the will of Nigerians despite widespread irregularities. What's your take?
Well, I think the political parties that are talking about it, trying to, condemn the report are just plain politics because the language and text of the report is are so clear about what they intended to express. When they say the election largely reflected the will of Nigeria, we can't contest that one. When an election is conducted in a country, it is the opinion or the interest of the masses of the people that carry the largest number of the votes that is usually expressed, and that's why you have a leader or you have somebody elect a government or a political party elected into power. So, in this particular situation, we're talking about human rights abuses and violations in countries. And the report didn't say they were looking at all aspects of the election. But even then, the fact of the matter is that there is no way the LP, the PDP can begin to allege or to condemn that election, because the election went through all layers of judiciary in Nigeria, from the tribunal to the appeal court to then to Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court came out with its conclusion. So there's no way you can begin to doubt that it didn't reflect the will of Nigeria. INEC conducted the election and returned a verdict. They returned a result. And then it went through all the whole gamut of Nigerian judicial court system. And then they still returned a verdict. And then if this report is saying this one, then the LP and the PDP, but for political reason, they can make noise. It's normal, you understand. But then I'm not sure that they can, in real terms, be able to, put down that report.
All right. Some things to note in the report was that the Nigerian government has not consistently implemented anti-corruption laws, and there was a widespread corruption across the country, including the judiciary. What should be the way forward for Nigeria going on?
Corruption, we have spoken on a number of reports on this program about corruption and how we can tackle it. Corruption is not only what you can call public service corruption. Nigeria in itself is endemically corrupt. You understand? And for Nigeria to implement various policies on anti-corruption, there is a lot to be done from the family level. Okay, the last week when we were on this program, there was a news item that was taking that was it Jam or that said they will arrest any parents or guardian that that come to the exam center to help their ward or their children. And I think yesterday or the day before, there was a report that I read that a man was actually caught writing an exam for his son. You understand? So when you look at it, that is not public service corruption. That is private induced corruption. Okay. So for us to tackle corruption in Nigeria today, we need to go back to our values. We need to go back to our virtues. There is a lot of value virtue in work. We must begin to train our younger ones that look, money is an instrument of living. Money is not an end to living. It is not a necessity itself. You can be happy with just little money. Okay, a lot of people don't even they have never seen millions before. They are healthier than those who are talking that they are billionaires here this time. A lot of people are happier than those who are millionaires, who are billionaires. So there is this wrong orientation that has been given to us. I think it started sometime around the 1980s when Babangida came with that nonsense, whatever policy that he came up with, and our system got corrupted totally, from government to churches to mosques to schools to health to everywhere. You understand? So we need to have an holistic cleaning system. It's government. If you arrest a senator, are you going to arrest a market woman that has you rotting tomato or rotting fish in the name of healthy ones? If you arrest that one, are you going to arrest the civil servant who would deliberately hide your file and say your file is missing? You understand? So you find out that it is a systemic thing that we need to tackle. Which, if we are going to go about this, we need all institutions of building in the society. In which case, we need the religious institution, we need the political institution, we need the social institutions, including individual community-based clubs.
Also, in like manner, the presidency has said that they do not require foreign validation to make election free and fair. What are your thoughts on what the presidency is saying?
Well, I think this is still a reaction to the story we took earlier about the report here, but that is a fact. The presidency of any country does not need any foreign validation because it is a domestic affair of a country. Okay, I give you an instance. When election was conducted in United States during Gore and George Bush era, we saw what happened. But at the end of the day, the Supreme Court of the United States returned a verdict and returned George Bush, President Bush, back into office. That was all about it. And then you move further. Recently, everybody saw what happened in regards to the election of President Biden and the ouster of President Trump. You understand? The country went on like that. And if you move from United States, you go to Russia. You understand? Look at the president of Russia now, Vladimir Putin. He's been there now for almost about 4 or 5 times. I'm not sure exactly, but more than 4 times anyway. So he just recently got elected again. Okay, no matter how you want to describe it, that is the way their country conducted their election. You go to China, the same thing. So that is the thing. Or you go to Britain. Like I said before, democracy does not have what you call monolithic definition. Democracy, by the classic definition that was given by the founders or by the writers, the initial writers in the West, says it is government of the people, by the people, for the people. In sociology, that is what we call ethno-methodology. You understand? Which is simply the way a society or a group of people handles or reacts to its own challenges. You understand? And that is democracy. The democracy that is being practiced in London, in England, is different from the democracy that is being practiced in the United States, where there are basic lines in it. The democracy that we had in Africa before the colonialists came, where you have a system of electing traditional rulers and go the way they come together and govern communities, societies, that was a democracy. But because we were fixated on the interest of the West, that's why we thought the American exported sense of democracy. It's not even American alone, it came from Greece. You understand? It started in Greece. So that we thought it was superior. No, it wasn't. Because we were colonized, we had our internal democratic system. So if the president says they do not need any foreign validation for the election of the president, it is an apt state. I don't expect anything different.
All right, moving on now. Suspected Boko Haram insurgents sacked the military base at Alawa town in Niger State as the residents fled communities in the areas to avoid being shot or kidnapped. Also, bandits attacked the palace of the emir of Zurmi, Alhaji Mohammed Bunu, but failed to kidnap him as he was whisked away by security agents. What's your take on the escalation of insecurity in the country?
we need to begin to crystallize the security situation in the country. When you say military sack, when you say bandit or terrorist or whoever sacked the military base, maybe a military camp you meant, whereby you have just maybe a battalion or not even a battalion, maybe you have a small unit of the military, who are stationed there on duty. You understand? So it doesn't take so much of an effort on part of a very large army of bandits, within bandits and terrorists to take on a small unit of five military officers, 5 soldiers. And then when you see how do we begin to react, or how do we look at this issue of insecurity in the country? You understand? In the northern part of the country and in most part of Nigeria, even now, you find out that there are so many factors that that actually influence how certain group of people take up arms against the state or against the society. It looks like that has become a commercial thing in the north, not because they are seeking territory. When Boko Haram started before, the original mission was that they did not want Western education. From there, they were infiltrated by ISIS and by other foreign terrorists, and they suddenly started talking about exporting their system and then trying to take territories and all that. But now, when you see, the interest now is that they still wanted their original intention of territorial acquisition to continue, which is not a proper thing. And until we are able to arrange our country properly in a way that we can monitor everybody, it is not going to be in the past of George Orwell's 19, Animal Farm. You understand? Where you have a big brother, you have somebody who is monitoring everybody, But then, your system must be organized. We have to organize the system, particularly in the north. The urban layout will be properly set out that we are able to capture the identity of everybody. You understand? I like the way the present administration is going about systemic capturing, particularly that young sharp Ministry of Interior. You understand? The guy, is steadfast at the way he goes about the identity of Nigerians. We'll get there, but before we get there, it might really, really get really, really funny. It might get worrisome and terrifying. Before we get there, we're gonna get there. I do believe we're gonna get there because a lot of Nigerians now are beginning to take ownership of the fact that we need to straighten the country up.
All right, moving on, still on what's happening in Niger State. About 119 inmates of the medium security prisons, Suleja, Niger, escaped following hours of heavy downpour, which destroyed parts of the facilities. What's your take? And also, the federal government is considering relocating the prisons.
I am worried, and I guess a lot of Nigerians should be worried about this report, not because inmates escaped the medium security prisons in Suleja, but because of the reported quantum of money that was said to have been spent on in making our correction centers a befitting place for inmates in the immediate past administration. Okay, when you look at it, we do not have the population of prisons, and I'm not talking about human population, I'm talking about the house now. The population, the number of prisons that we have in the country are limited. And there is no reason why this kind of thing should happen to any of our correction centers when you're talking about it being damaged by rainfall or something, you understand? It's lamentable. If you look at the report, you look at the picture of that report, you actually see that, look, this is horrible, you understand? If the past administration under President Muhammadu Buhari told Nigerians they did a lot in terms of improving the standard of our correction system, I mean, there's a need for somebody, I mean, to answer for this. Okay, this should not be happening to us. If we say we want to correct this system, we should begin to actually, look back. Who did what in the past, and what, I mean, was it actually done? And if it was not properly done, there should be some answering. You understand? I mean, is rainfall. Yes, Nigeria has been witnessing rainfall for thousands of years. We know the volume, the intensity, and quantum of rains that fall in Nigeria, notwithstanding the present situation of climate change. Okay, but the point is that it shouldn't get to the point where a whole correction center will fall down and then inmates will begin to escape into the society. And when they go, of course, if you look at our system, we may not be able to get all those 119 people back. Maybe we'll get some little bit and then they do some media report and then we say, okay, fine, we've been able to get all of them back, which is not correct. So the ones that are not being able to be rearrested are going to go into larger society, and I'm not even sure there was any form of therapeutic or correctional training given to them, and then we begin to have escalation of criminal activities. It's worrisome and is a condemnable thing.
All right, let's touch on Bishop KUKAH. He has said that he has underscored the worrying trend of declining diversity and meritocracy in Nigerian universities. According to him, he says that they are increasingly influenced by ethnic and religious affiliations. What's your take? Do you agree with him?
I do not agree with the Reverend Bishop because the reasons he gave are not the reasons that actually can be used to talk about meritocracy or whatever. Yeah, he went to one university to go and deliver a lecture, you understand, as a Christian, and then he's now saying that yes, other universities, particularly in the north, he mentioned some universities will not, who are not even allowing the building of a church or Christians to come in there. Yeah, they are federal government universities. The fact that they even allowed a mosque or a church in a particular university in itself is an aberration. Universities were set up for academic learning, okay? And they were not, and the Nigerian constitution is so straight about being neutral in terms of religious activities. There's no reason, for whatever reason, there is no reason at all for us to have a church or a mosque in a university. If you're going to have it, you can have it in a private section of the university, in which case it will be privately owned. There's no reason for a particular university to have an official mosque, an official church. So I do not agree with the cleric in that area. However, when you look at university in itself, okay, are you surprised that this kind of bias that he's talking about happened? Federal universities are not supposed to be biased. It is wrong, totally wrong. But you can't use the same envelope to contain. I mean, you can't use the same envelope to wrap up the whole universities in Nigeria. Let's take all those privately owned universities or religious or universities that are owned by churches and mosques. What do you expect them to do? Okay, if you take any of the churches, including Catholic Church, I'm not even sure. If you see the university they build, what they are teaching there is more of religion than even academic issues. Okay, so I do not see why that should be an issue now for the cleric. If he wants to control, if he wants to correct the situation in the country in terms of not being biased and enthroning meritocracy, we should start to talk to Nigerians the place of religion. Religion is not the number one thing that should begin to govern the life of people now. Okay, but the way these people have thrown it up is like if you don't go to church, something is going to happen to you tomorrow. If you don't come to the mosque, you may not be able to feed your family. That's not correct. Nations have left us behind because of this idiocy in religion, we cannot continue to allow this to happen. If they want to correct the situation now, let's go back. They can go to their camp or go to their Islamic, whatever they have in the north, you understand, and then talk to themselves and say, listen, religion is a private thing. That you go to church or you go to mosque or you go to a shrine is your private matter. It doesn't concern the society. So when you, as a bishop, you find yourself in the position of director of education in the Federal Ministry of Education, there's no reason why you should use your religious tendency to begin to influence the policy that will go into federal universities. That is the way it should be. So if he wants to correct that one, he should start from the church. He should begin to talk to people in the church. Okay? I mean, it's a universal thing that he can do. He can help the society a lot. He can help our country a lot. But to now say that because you are not allowed to deliver election in church, then no, I don't think that should be an index.
All right, all right. Let's touch on Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mr. is speaking, and he says, "Oh, if I come back to this world, I would like to marry you again." And Mrs. responds and says, "You have to be fast, otherwise another man will beat you to it. You are so slow that at times it takes you 20 minutes to bring ordinary 5,000 naira from your pocket."
You see, I need to ask, why are women shyly predicated? Well, no, not all women. I know about Filipinos. They usually don't use money as an index for them to judge their law. But why are people always using money as an in the next one? Who told the woman that there will be money? But there will still be law.
Well, whatever the form of exchange will be, Mr. would have to provide more of it.
You know that we know like that the means of exchange will be law, will be affection, nothing else.
All right.
So the man will still have to provide more of it, right? And when you ask ladies, what do you use the money to buy? You understand?
There are a lot
You
of
begin
things.
to wonder.
But there are a lot of things that women need to.
Like what? You reduce it to list. You find out that you don't have a lot of things that you actually need. You have a lot of things that you want. It's different that you have a lot of things that you need. But many times you mistake your wants to be your need. That's it.
I do not agree, but thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi Ajayi, former regional editor, North Vanguard Media Limited. Thank you for sharing your thought with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Also, remember
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Also, remember to equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Find up-to-date stories, go to our website, www.vanguardangel.com to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.